Hello, this is Mr. Muller for lesson 7-4, division, property of exponents. So yesterday we did multiplication, and today we're doing division, and they are pretty much the complete opposite. So with multiplication, we were adding those exponents. Now with division, we are subtracting those exponents. So if I have 3 to the 5th, that means 5 3's up top, divided by 3 to the 3rd, so 3 3's on the bottom. I am left with 2 3's on the top. Another way to say that is 3 squared. Kind of the same thing here, 5 7ths to 5 4ths. So 7 minus 4 is 3. So it's going to be 5 to the 3rd power. Alright, for something like this, I have 2 7ths over, or 2 to the 7th over 2 to the 2nd. So my base is going to be 2. That doesn't change. 7 2's and 2 2's are going to cancel out. I'm going to be left with 5 2's. Here, x again is my base, not going to change. I have 4 x's on top, 3 x's on bottom, so I'm just left with x to the 1st. Okay. Same thing with some letters here. So remember, the second power goes to the d and the e. So it's really d4 minus d2, which leaves me with d2. Okay, E3 minus E2 just leaves me with E. Alright, so pretty straightforward when the bigger number's on top. The bigger number isn't on top, like here. Okay, so I only have 1 3 up top and 2 3's on the bottom. Doesn't really change anything. I just know that there's going to be 1 3 left over, and that 1 3 happens to be on the bottom. Okay, same thing here. I have 4 3's on top. 4 4's on bottom. I'm going to be left with 1 4 on the bottom. Okay, here I have 5 5's on top and 3 5's on the bottom, so I'm going to be left with 2 5's on top. Alright, and I'm going to simplify this, so that's going to end up being 25 over 12. Okay, so since there's more on the bottom, they're going to just stay on the bottom, like for the 3's and the 4's. 5's, there's more 5's on top of the fraction bar, so it's going to stay on top. Okay, kind of the same thing with the scientific notation. Okay, so I'm going to divide the numbers, which is going to end up giving me 0.5. 3 divided by 6 is 0.5. And then I have 10 tenths divided by 10 to the 6th, which is going to give me 10 to the 4th. Okay, and remember the big key about about scientific notation is my number has to be between 1 and 9.9. So this 0.5 doesn't work. So I'm going to need to move that decimal over 1 spot to the right to make it 5 instead of 0.5. But in the process, then that changes my exponent. So now instead of being 10 to the 4th, it's going to be 10 to the 3rd. Okay, if you forget which way to move the number, just rewrite it out. So 0.5 times 10 to the 4th would have been 5,000. And now 5 times 10 to the 3rd. Okay, same thing if I have a decimal there. I move that over 3 spots, it's going to be 5,000. If you were thinking it was 10 to the 5th, very common mistake. You're not the only one that's going to make that mistake, but remember to just test it out. So if this was 5 to the 5th, well, I'd really end up with 2 more zeros to make it 500,000. But remember, our original answer was just 5,000. Alright, same thing here. I have 3.2 times 10 to the 12th, 2.5 times 10 to the 8th. Luckily, when I divide these two, I get a number that's between 1 and 10, so I don't have to worry about moving the decimal. So it's just going to be 1.28 times 10 to the 4th. If you ever have a fraction problem, it looks a lot more confusing than what it really is. So 2/3 to the 3rd power really just means, 2 times 2 times 2 over 3 times 3 times 3. So 2 to the 3rd over 3 to the 3rd, or you can say 8 over 27. Alright, what about getting into some negatives? Actually, let's do these before we get into the negatives. So same thing here. Pretty much the same thing as yesterday. especially with this first one, nothing's going to cancel out. But if I have 3 to the 4th power, that's going to end up being 81. And then d4 4 times. It's going to make it d to the 8th. Okay, and then e to the 4th power and f to the 4th power. Okay, nothing to really do there. There's nothing with the exponents to multiply because it was e1 f1. 1 times 4 is 4. So that pretty much stays the same. Here I do have some things that I can cross out and multiply. So I'm going to end up with the 2 to the 2nd power is going to give me 4. And then x was to the 3rd power, but now I'm going to square it. So it's going to be x to the 6th power. Remember multiplying those exponents, not adding them or anything like that. This is x to the 3rd power and y to the 3rd power, but remember they both get squared. So then it's really going to be x to the 6th. And then y to the 6th as well. Okay, let me explain that again. So since I have x here, but it's really x going to be to the 3rd power, and the y there, but it's really going to be y to the 3rd power, and then I have this squared out in front, can't forget about that, or in the back, I'm sorry. So it's going to make it x to the 6th, and then I can end up crossing out these x to the 6's, and so I'm just left with 4 over y to the 6th. Alright, so now if I have negative exponents, it's just going to flip. So if I have 2/3 to the negative 4th, it becomes 3 over 2 to the positive 4th. So just like we did in section, I believe, 2, just flipping once you get that negative exponent. No difference other than that. So 2 to the 3rd, 2 over 3 to the negative 4th becomes 3 over 2 to the positive 4. Okay, and then it's kind of the same thing here. So instead of 2x squared over y to the 3rd to the negative 2, I'm just going to flip it. So it's going to be y to the 3 over 2x squared. And then still same thing, parentheses, to the positive 2 now. Okay, and now I would just solve it just like I did the other examples before. Nothing changes. With the negative exponent, you just need to flip it before. So it's literally just one extra step beforehand. Same thing here, I'll just rewrite it quickly. So instead of 2/3, it's 3 over 2. Instead of 6m over 2n, it's going to be 2n over 6m. And then let's not forget about our exponents here. So this is still going to be to the 2nd power. Oops, 2nd power. This is still going to be to the 3rd power. And then I can just go about solving it like I did with the other problems before.